Good evening and welcome to our August 18th, 2021 regular session of our Canfield District School Board meeting. At this time, can I have a roll call?
Mrs. DeCapua, President.
Here. Sorry about that. Here.
Mr. Atway, Vice President.
Here.
Mr. Campbell. Mrs. Klucher. Here. Mr. Wilkerson.
Here.
We'd like to stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'm going to turn over to the podium our superintendent, Mr. Knoll, for a brief presentation.
All right, thank you.
Do you want us to run down there?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and take a seat, be easier to see. All right, so welcome everybody, those of you in person and those of you watching at home on our YouTube station. We appreciate you tuning in with us. So basically tonight I want to talk a little bit about our safe return to school. Hopefully you got my phone call, and most of the stuff is already posted online. And I'm sure some of you probably already seen it, but for those that haven't, we're going to go over some of the highlights here as we get ready for the school year. So first of all, open houses are next week. Right here at the high school on Monday from 3:30 to 5. We'll be open and ready to roll. Over at the middle school on Monday as well. 5th grade from 5 to 6, and grades 6 to 8, 5:30 to 6:30. And then our 2 elementary schools will be up and running on Tuesday. We'll bring in our youngest learners, our kindergartners, at 4 to 5:30, and then grades 1 through 4 from 5:30 to 7. My request would be that we follow the CDC guidelines that talks about recommending whenever we have indoor settings, just like our board meeting tonight, that all visitors would mask up. That would be my recommendation for our open houses. So let's talk about getting the year off here. Elementary, the first 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, we've already been contacted. Parents are going to bring their kiddos in. We're going to have some time to have a little bit of fun, do some assessments, kind of get the habit of coming to school on Wednesday and Thursday. And then day 1 for our K-4 elementary kiddos is going to be on Friday, August 27th. Over to middle school on Wednesday, our 5th and 6th graders, whose last name have an A through an L, you'll be attending on Wednesday, and all the 7th and 8th graders. Mr. Rubin calls those the veterans. All right, they'll start day 1. On day 2, for the 5th and 6th graders, just those with M to Z last name, and all the 7th and 8th graders again. And then on Friday, it's all in at the middle school, ready to go. High school, it's game day 1. All right, we hit the ground rocking and rolling on that Wednesday, and we'll be ready to go here at the high school. So as your superintendent, my goal for this year, just like last year, is very simple. It's not only to start the school year, but to continue it. In person, we did a great job last year of doing some online. That was great, but we got to get back in school, and we're coming back at 100% capacity. That's our goal. I want to be in person 5 days a week for the entire school year. That is my goal, and I hope everybody in this room, no matter what side of the fence you're on, will concur with that statement, okay? That's what I get paid to do, and that's my goal for this year. Decisions made as a superintendent are focused right on this, okay? So let's talk a little bit about transportation. I'm sure you've heard and seen this, but if you have not, here's what we have. We have a CDC mandate in place for transportation. All of our kids that ride the bus have to wear a mask, drivers and riders. Coming back and forth to school, our athletic events, any field trips we have to be masked up, okay? Parents, just like last year, if you can help us and you're willing and able, if you can drive your kids to school, please do that for us. We're gonna, on the bus, we're gonna try to spread everybody out. We're gonna have assigned seats, just in case we have a positive case and we have to do some types of things. Siblings can sit together. We're gonna continue with our after route sanitizing as well, with the drivers and our custodial maintenance crew getting in there and doing everything we can to get those buses in good shape. As I said, my goal this year was the same as last year. I was able to stand up here at the end of the year and say, you know what, we made it every day to school in Canfield last year. Okay, not many districts could say that, but we did. So we're going to do everything we can again to keep that ball rolling. All the mitigating efforts that we can do, including temperature checks. We're going to get your kiddos when they come in, either with a machine or with a handheld temperature check. All the additional cleaning we can do, the hand sanitizers, all that disinfectant stuff that we can put in place, we're going to do. We're going to continue with some lunch modifications. For example, here at the high school, we had some kids eat in that athletic lobby just to kind of divide and conquer. Obviously, that's one of my main concerns is when we have no masks on during lunch. That's our biggest concern. Okay, so we're going to do some things there. Just a reminder, use the Pay Schools online piece if you can, so we don't have to have a lot of transaction of dollars here in the district as well. Physical distancing is important to us. 3 feet is our minimum. Obviously, we try to get to 6 feet when we can, but we're going to work hard for that 3 feet. I talked about transportation. I am going to limit visitors again this year, okay, to start the year. And our building principals will articulate that a little bit later, but I do want to give people that information as we start the year as well. I mentioned this last year at the end of the school year. We have our Raptor system up and running. It's just another nice piece of safety. When you do come, if you are invited and allowed to come in, we're going to ask you to bring your driver's license. When you enter, you're going to get scanned. It goes into a database that looks for sex offenders. If there's some issues there, you will obviously will not be allowed to enter. I'm able to get text and emails along with the building administrators if we do have a problem when people come in. Nice thing about this is it also prints a ID badge with your name, picture on it, and where you're going and the time, so we can keep track of everybody coming in and out of the building. So looking forward to getting that up and running for the school year here as well. Okay, so here it is. Here's our masking policy to begin. Even though, as you've read and heard, it is highly recommended that all individuals wear masks. The Canfield Local Schools is not going to require masks for staff and students to start the school year. Now, I want to be clear. If there is a need to change that policy at any time, I will. Okay? If we have an influx of positive cases, of quarantines, and with collaboration with the health department, if we're having trouble, okay, that policy will change. A week, a month, 6 months, I don't know. I just want to make sure I'm very clear. What's the goal? Number one, in person, 5 days a week, all year. As your superintendent, that's my goal. Okay, so if we need to pivot and switch gears at any time, we will. It could be a class, it could be a building, it could be the district. Okay, whatever we have to do to reach that goal, we're going to do. And I'll do that in collaboration, like I said. And just as a reminder for buses, got to have them on. If you're riding a bus, you got to be masked up at all times. So I've heard a lot from our K-4 moms and dads. And I get it. I understand. And I want you to know that you're being heard by the superintendent and your board members. I'm going to make a comment now that I honestly don't know if I can do, if I can pull it off, or if there's any interest even in Canfield. Okay, but here we go. If you are a K-4 parent and you say, you know what, Mr. Knoll, appreciate everything you're doing, but I'm not buying this, I'm going to ask you to fill out a survey that's going to be on our district website in about 20 minutes. If you want to be in a fully masked classroom, K-4 only, and I think you all understand why. Number one, you can't be vaccinated at that age, and number two, we have a group of X number of kids in front of a teacher. It's not like high school where you're running all over the place with different people. If this interests you, I want you to go online when you go home and fill out that survey. Now, here's the disclaimer. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can pull it off. But I want to see if you're interested. So, for example, if I have 10 first graders in the district that say, I want to be masked up, I'm going to promise you right now, I can't do that. I can't put 10 kids in a classroom with a teacher. Can't do it. The second thing I can't promise you is what elementary you might end up in. Okay? Now, if I have 10 first graders at CH and 10 at Hilltop, I could put them together, maybe get 20. Now there's an option of having a teacher in front of those kids. But we're going to have to figure out what building you go to. So there's a lot of moving parts here. okay? But I want you to know that you're being heard, okay? You are, especially our elementary parents, and I get it, especially kindergarten moms. I even get that even more, okay? So we're going to give it a try. You got till Friday. I think I have Friday at 4 on there somewhere. This needs to be a quick turnaround, all right? The elementary principals are a little nervous, a little concerned about this, but we're going to look at the numbers, and the numbers are going to dictate, along with logistics, if we can pull this off, okay? So if it interests you, go online, let's give it a shot and see what we can do, okay? I need to talk about quarantine. We are going to start the school year as we ended the school year with quarantines based on the Ohio Department of Health. And actually, that's good news. If you remember at the beginning of the year, I was quarantining 60, 70, 100 kids at one point. We were, but then the rules changed a little bit as we got a little more information about COVID. So here's what we're going to do, all right, following the protocol. If you are a close contact to a positive COVID case in the school setting, and you are wearing a mask or you are fully vaccinated, you will not be quarantined. You can continue with school, you can continue with athletics, you can do all your extracurriculars, okay? Those are the guidelines for the Ohio Department of Health, Mahoney Public, that we're going to follow, okay? So once again, if you want to be safe, you mask up, okay? Quarantine will not be an issue, or if you're fully vaccinated, and you know some of our kids are, okay? That's the quarantine rules. If you're a close contact to a positive and you're masked up, vaccinated, no quarantine. However, if you choose not to mask up and you're not quarantined, if you're in what I call the splash zone, remember when they used to have SeaWorld and Shamu would be there, and you're in those first 5 or 6 rows, okay? If you are a close contact to a positive case in school and you're not wearing a mask and not vaccinated, you will be quarantined. And as you can see there, it's the 10 days with an opportunity to come back earlier. If you follow that protocol, you can come back after 7. If you have a PCR test and it's negative, you can come back. And that's how we ended the school year here at Canfield. And that was a good thing. It lessened the days, it lessened the number of people that need to be quarantined. But let me be clear. If you want to play it safe and not get quarantined once, twice, 3 times, mask up or be vaccinated. Plain and simple. All right, parents, I need you again. If positive cases, if sick kids don't come into the buildings, we're going to be okay. All right, so I need your help, just like you did for me last year. Take a temperature, look for those symptoms. Actually, the symptoms haven't changed too much. They're basically the same from last year. If you have 100 above, or if you have those symptoms, keep your kids at home for us. Give school a call, let us know what's going on. If you're a close contact at home or a positive at home or with another organization, please call and let us know to help us out that way. When kids come, we want you to come in. You're going to get temperature screened either by hand or by the machine, just like last year. Get to your class. The PTA was awesome and bought us some filling stations for water. So we're not going to have water fountains running in this year, so bring a bottle with you. We are going to have some lockers and cubbies being available for kids. I know some of our kids, like at high school, don't even use a locker anymore. I guess back in the day, that stuff's all different. But we're all going to offer some capabilities for lockers and cubbies as well. I will continue to communicate with all of you on how we're doing here in the district, okay? I think it's important to know whether we're doing great or whether we're struggling when it comes to the close contacts, quarantines, those types of things. So we'll be sending home those emails again. I really prefer not to call people. I think that gets a little annoying. Okay, according to my wife, I annoy her when I keep calling everybody, which is well, understandable. But we'll send the emails out, let you know what's going on there. Nurse Reggie retired from last year. She was my COVID coordinator. So this year, the nurse here at the high school, Nurse Beck, is going to take the lead. So if you're calling in, have any questions, don't understand something, she's going to be our gal here at the high school that you're going to want to call. All right, so here you go. I got the shirt on for a reason. All right? This is our theme for this year here at Canfield. Every staff member, board member, is going to get a t-shirt that says, "Every Cardinal counts." I picked this theme for a reason, all right? I know these are troubled times. I know there is division. I know there's camps. There's both sides of the camp, and I get it. Half of you are upset with what I said today. Half of you are loving it. In 6 weeks, you might hate me again or love me. I don't know. But this is what it comes down to, okay? I've heard in some other districts, and this would never happen in Canfield, that kids are picking on other kids for wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. Parents are upset with teachers, upset with board members, upset with yours truly. I want you to talk to your kids, parents, about every Cardinal counts in this district. No matter where you are, no matter what you wear, no matter what you look like, we're going to love and respect every kid and every staff member in this district. And that's why I have the shirt. Every Cardinal counts. Okay, I know it's tough. I know these are tough times, like I said. But last year I said amazed but never surprised in Canfield. I'm going to continue with that theme as well this year, okay? It's going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of hurdles, I'm sure, as we work our way through. But I really believe this is what it's all about. If we treat each other with love and respect, and we make that priority that every Cardinal counts, we're going to make it through another school year. I would love to be here at the end of the year saying we made it every day, in person, all year long. I would love to do that. So in closing, I met with some awesome ladies. They wanted to have a little prayer meeting and asked me, what can you pray for? Well, first thing I did is I mentioned us as a school and for safety for this year, wisdom to make decisions as your superintendent. But as these ladies prayed, the same thing they kept talking about was love and respect. And boy, that just hit me hard. I mean, to me, that's what this whole thing is about. And at the end of the day, keep focused on every Cardinal counts. So appreciate your time.
At this time, I want to let everybody know that we have gotten the minutes of our July and August regular meeting and special meeting. We have read them, made any additions or changes that we had to. So at this time, I would like someone to please motion for the approval of these minutes.
So moved, Wilkerson.
Second.
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Cloutier? Yes. Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCaprio?
Yes. At this time, I will turn over our next piece of our agenda to our treasurer for the treasurer's reports for June and July. Ms. Prince?
Okay, the first set of reports that I sent you were from June 30th, year end. And I'm happy to report we stayed within the budget. We spent 97% of what was budgeted last year. We ended up not deficit spending as we originally predicted we may at the beginning of the year. So our cash balance in the general fund did go up. I will be explaining in more detail line item by line item when we do the 5-year forecast in the fall. But I just wanted to report on that at this time. The check payment register for June, you'll notice, is lengthy as we worked on cleaning up all outstanding purchase orders for end of year. And likewise, the outstanding purchase order list is very short. There were only 2 items on it. There were 2 large projects that carried over into the summer. The Plug Smart rooftop units at the high school, and then the Vogt & Sons, the roof repair at the middle school. Investments for both June and July, they're uneventful, just money at Star Ohio, the state treasury, and our Farmers National Sweep account. CD rates are just not, again, have not reached a level that makes sense to put money in them right now. So, and looking at July, there's not a whole lot of action in making payments as we're doing most of our ordering for the upcoming year. So the check register is only a couple pages long, but you'll notice the purchase order register is very lengthy as we've placed orders for the entire year. And again, the first 8 pages, as we always do, are what we call our yearly purchase orders. So you'll see some of them are very large as we budget or prepare the requisitions for the entire year, like for our utilities and so forth, and then pay them down. So we're not doing a new one every month. Does anybody have any specific questions on any of these reports?
What did I see?
If not, we can have a motion to approve both sets, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Atway?
Yes.
Mrs. Kluchar?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCaprio?
Yes. At this time is when we have our public comment section. Those of you who wanted to speak tonight, I hope you've all signed in. That is the list that we go by. Those interested? Okay, a couple points before we get started. We do have a full house. So in order to keep the meeting moving, we do limit all of our comments to 30 minutes total, so 3 minutes per speaker. If at the end of 30 we need some more time, we'll look at extending our time. But please know that it is 3 minutes per speaker. If someone has said what you are going to say or what you wanted to say, we would appreciate it if we could keep the repeating to a minimum. This is not an issue. This is not a public debate. Questions cannot be directed to the board. This is public comment only. Okay? First up.
Chad Hawks?
Chad Hoggs, 503 Greenmont Drive. In regards to the safe return policy, I want to say thank you for deliberating on this issue and choosing this approach. You followed the evidence and ignored some of the fears surrounding this topic. It took leadership, and that's not lost on me. Thank you to all, specifically thank you to Joe. I know we disagreed, and maybe at the first meeting I was a bit too harsh, not in substance, but maybe in my tone or approach. I think over the last couple of months we've developed a mutual respect, so thank you again. As with any decision, I'm sure some will be disappointed or angered. I'm sure some are typing furiously as we speak now, but be sure that you made the right decision and it's completely defensible. For example, since school let out on June 4th, since then in Mahoning County, a county of 239,000 people, 21 people have died from COVID. Of course, the overwhelming majority of those deaths were for persons who are old or chronically unhealthy. None of those deaths were children. Additionally, since school is out, 0 children in the entire state of Ohio have died from COVID. The death count for children that have died since the pandemic started remains at 7. And according to CDC studies of other jurisdictions, that's probably an overcount. Case counts and community spread rates are largely irrelevant to schools regarding safety to children. In the past, districts didn't keep a close eye on national influenza cases or child pneumonia, both of which that are more deadly. Back in 2010, the swine flu killed 4 times as many children as COVID. We didn't require masks. If anything has been clear these past 18 months, it's that human behavior has no effect on when there is a surge in cases and when those cases recede. Further, it's that masks don't have an effect on cases either. And that's not even my words. Epidemiologist Dr. Michael Osterholm, who was on the Biden administration's COVID advisory board, said recently, "I can go country by country, region by region, and show you the same thing, that without regard to necessarily what humans do, you will see these big surges of cases often lasting 5 to 8 weeks, and then it just ends," end quote. He went on, quote, "I think we've all done a disservice to the public. When you actually look at the face cloth coverings, these cloth pieces that hang over your face, they actually only have very limited impact in reducing the amount of virus that you inhale or exhale out, end quote. So we have one of the chief public health figures in this country saying that human behavior doesn't drive the virus and that cloth masks are effectively worthless, which is supported by the scientific literature, by the way. You aren't alone. Your decision would be mainstream in Europe. Many districts in Northeast Ohio have recommended masks but not mandated them for students, several being in Mahoning County. I think parental choice on this matter is appropriate. If a parent believes that their child will be protected by a mask, let them wear a mask. If a family has weighed the relative risks and decides not to mask their child, that's fine too. Choice on masking is the rational, compassionate, and I might add, politically prudent position. Thank you all again.
Thank you very much.
Elizabeth Fox.
All right. Since the decision on mitigation risks in our district has already been made, I won't use my time for talking for or against it. Honestly, I think my husband Chad has done enough of that for the both of us. Instead, I'd like to use my time to remind everyone of the importance of critical thinking, empathy and discourse, and the power of the individual voice. Critical thinking is the analysis of facts to form a judgment. We require this when the subject is complex and several different definitions exist. It means rational, skeptical, unbiased analysis and the evaluation of factual evidence. Over the past 18 months, much of America has lost the ability to apply critical thinking, or maybe has given up. Embattled by the pandemic and more easily swayed by a left versus right, good versus bad oversimplification of an extremely complicated topic. If we allow this fatigue to settle in, we risk losing more than a debate over masks and dividers. We will lose our future innovators, change makers, and rebels, each a key part in the advancement of society. If everyone jumped off a bridge, would you? Is a quote that we heard as children and now repeat to our own. Just as we discourage doing something because someone else says to do it, we should discourage thinking something just because someone else thinks it. The public education system has been designed to support the exact opposite. It rests on the premise that there is an average student and that most children learn the same way at the same time, accomplishing linear growth. If we are serious about giving our students the educational tools they need to succeed in life, critical thinking is a skill that must be taught too. This means that spending less time in the classroom teaching facts and information that can be found with the swipe of a smart screen, and more focus on incorporating different points of view, asking questions, encouraging decision-making, working in groups, brainstorming, and inspiring creativity. I know our district is in part committed to this. I see it in the plans for our elementary buildings to have a makerspace with tools and projects centered on creativity, trial and error, and exploration of ideas. However, it needs to be seeded throughout the curriculum. It must be given just as high or a higher priority of focus than adding new technology or expanding course offerings. We are at a junction in history where we must demand more of our students, giving them tools to develop them into a whole person, one with the confidence to draw on their innate intelligence and inform their own opinions. We start by setting an example ourselves. For the parents here tonight, it is our duty to advocate for this inside and outside of the classroom. It is our job to introduce alternative viewpoints. It is our job to practice tolerance for others. It is our job to participate in thoughtful debate with them. No education system can sub in here. With that, I encourage everyone to stay engaged. Open your mind to alternative ideas. Invest time in doing your own research. Stand up and voice your views when given the opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Hall.
Sean Sidge.
Good evening. My name is Sean Sidge, and I live at 91 Chapel Lane. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the Canfield School Board for allowing me to speak tonight. I come to you this evening as a father of an incoming 5th grader and the spouse of a Canfield Local Schools employee. I'm also a former Canfield High School assistant speech and debate coach from 2003 to 2007. The beginning of the speech had originally been placed in another document that was to be read in front of you. Since the decision has been made to proceed with masks being optional, I have had to change the content. The original speech, which I can share with any person in the crowd or any member of the school board, was filled with evidence and data that showed the importance of compulsory mask attire for staff and students. I don't need that speech now, not just because it has been decided that masks will be optional, but because it seems it doesn't matter that the speech included knowledge from experts in various medical associations. The decision that was made tonight was made without their advice and consent. As a quick aside, it's startling to hear the superintendent talk about following the CDC guidelines at the open house, then doing the opposite for the school year. The most disappointing aspect of this decision is that the board has made it now that it has needlessly placed our youngest children, one of whom is my son, in harm's way. Myself and my spouse are fully vaccinated. We also understand that, for whatever reason, other individuals may choose to not get themselves vaccinated. While the choice to vaccinate is a personal one, so now is the choice to send children to school without a mask. Realizing that the Delta variant is exponentially more contagious than previous versions of COVID-19, parents who make the choice to send their kids to school maskless put other students who send their kids with masks at risk. This private choice of not receiving the vaccine now has public consequences. Amidst all of this is the stunning realization that all of this could be avoided by heeding the warnings of the CDC, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the Mahoning County Board of Health, and requiring masks for staff and students. As a former Eastern Ohio ESC employee, I traveled to many districts, including this one, giving teachers, principals, and superintendents professional development using research-based strategies from educational experts about how education must use data to show evidence of learning. For this matter, it almost seems as if the board is doing the opposite. The motto of this year may be, every cardinal counts, but with this policy that this board is enacting, they will count less and less and less every single day. When referring to the ideas of quantum mechanics and the uncertainty surrounding it, Albert Einstein famously noted that God does not play dice. It is unfortunate to see that this board has no qualms in doing the opposite. I ask you to reconsider your decision, and I thank you.
Thank you.
And John Stewart.
Hi, John Stewart, 151 Laurel Hills Lane. I have a 5-year-old daughter going into kindergarten and a 10-year-old son going into 5th grade. My comments are going to be somewhat redundant with Chad's, but after the prior speaker, I think it's probably worth saying some of these statistics and data again. First of all, I'd like to commend Canfield schools on their decision to not require masks. Congratulations, you followed the science. I went to Miami University and majored in something called decision sciences, which is essentially applied statistics. And I'm going to give you some statistics today. First of all, more children die every single year from the seasonal flu than have died from COVID since day one. You are 10.5 times more likely to die from cancer as a child under 18, 9.5 times more likely to die in a car accident, so maybe we shouldn't drive our children to school. Children are 7.5 times more likely to commit suicide, which will probably go up if we continue to require them to wear masks. 3.5 times more likely to die of homicide, 3 times more likely to die of cardiovascular disease, 2.5 times more likely to die from drowning, and 1.5 times more likely to die from the regular seasonal flu. So if we think we're protecting our children from COVID by requiring them to wear masks, why have we not always required them to wear masks to protect them from the flu? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's all.
Anybody come in late that wishes to speak? Can you please come sign in?
Clarification.
I think I might have missed something during the presentation.
Okay, what can we do for you?
I had read the plan online and I was pretty much familiar with it. I just wanted a clarification because I didn't see this online. Just in regard to elementary, I think Mr. Earl mentioned that there was a possibility of the classroom this being switched. I just wonder, my daughter got her letter from her teacher and found all her friends in her class and is going to open house on Tuesday. This teacher, you're saying, might not be in that class come Wednesday? I just wasn't sure. Maybe I did something.
No, that's okay, yeah. So based on what we find out in the next couple days, okay, if we have a big group of parents that want their kiddos to be in a mass classroom, we're going to take a look at that option. So there is a possibility, like if you decided you wanted your child to be in a mass classroom, he or she could be with another teacher in order to pull that off. That is correct.
Then my just a follow-up question, is there an option then if we want our children to be in a mask-free classroom for one of those to happen too?
No.
Just
No,
curious.
no. There's no way I can pull that off. That would be hard to do. So I'm assuming there's going to be a less number, to be honest with you, of parents that are interested in that option.
I was just worried, like, logistically next week, and it's, they get really excited when they find out their teacher and their
No,
friends.
yeah, I understand.
I hate for that
Yep.
to change.
Yeah, we're going to go as fast as we can based on what we see on Friday at 4 o'clock. So
To see if it's even a viable opportunity.
our goal is to,
Friday by 4 o'clock.
Friday at 4 o'clock ends the survey. Yep,
Okay.
yep. And then we'll go from there.
Dr. Scolari?
Do you want that under open state? Did you want that under open state? Okay, after he finishes.
Michael Scolari, 7790 Cedar Park Drive. I want to commend the board as well. 1 year ago, we got together as a physician panel with the board. Similar situation. There was fear, poorly understanding of this infection. At that time, we were going to go a hybrid, and after the board listened to the physicians, we talked to you about the actual true science, not what's been bastardized in the media, the actual literature, published, reviewed data. You decided to go 5 days a week, and it was a success, and the kids flourished. And we can see how this experiment, quote unquote, worked here. It did work throughout the country, where suicide rates are up 35% with kids, substance abuse is up, and kids have failed educationally, socially, and developmentally. So congratulations to you for making the uneasy decision last year, for the right decision to put the kids in school 5 days a week, and it worked. And I also give you kudos for doing the same thing with the mask. I want to just address your comments on the literature. The actual literature is, medical literature is based on study, design study, and the outcomes. So if you actually do a literature search, the only level 1 data that's published, level 1 data is the most superior data, and that's what medical practice is guided by. The best level evidence predicates how you practice medicine. So level 1 data are randomized controlled studies. Outcomes data means outcome. The outcome is, do you have disease or you don't have disease? There are a dozen level 1 studies that show that masks do not prevent the spread of respiratory virus. There was multiple studies prior to COVID, and we all knew that, and that's why in medicine we've never had masking of the population. That doesn't work. And in the COVID era, there are only two level 1 studies, outcomes data, that prove that masks don't work, but you don't hear those. So those are the only studies, level 1 outcomes data, that prove it. If you want to quote evidence from the CDC, what they use to support masking, it's level 4, 5, and 6 data. Observational studies, modeling studies, none of these are outcome data. And any person could actually look at the graphs throughout the world where mask mandates go in, surge of cases go up. There's no causal effect of masks in the number of cases. So I want you to understand that that's the way medicine is supposed to work. There's supposed to be debate. There is data, and data has hierarchy, and we're supposed to follow the most highest level evidence to predicate how we practice medicine. That's not what we've been doing for 18 months. And furthermore, if the CDC really wanted to prove it, they have a colossal amount of data. For 18 months, there's been millions and millions of people infected with this virus. It could have been very easily harvested. This data could have been easily harvested and shown to us why masks work. So we know that masks don't work. So that's all I want to say. Feel confident that the decision you made, you will see that it makes no difference. What changes how the virus is spread is the seasonal spread of virus, the Hope-Simpson curve. Look it up, you'll see that that's the only thing that matters on the spread. And one last question I have, or only question I have, is this ODH algorithm for quarantining kids, is that a mandate or a recommendation?
We were told by the Mahoney Public Health this morning in a meeting that their legal team has told us that that is what we need to do in our school district.
That's a recommendation or a mandate?
That is a mandate. That
so
is
they've
what we are to do.
ignored, or are they going to address natural or a person who's previously been infected? That's not part of this? Sorry. Right, so we're not going to have, so you have the vaccinated not quarantining, the children who have previously been infected, who have antibodies. If you turn in a slip to if you show a test to the nurse, I have antibodies, I've been previously infected. We are not allowing those kids not to be.
Well, whenever we have issues like that, I call the public health department myself, because one thing that I just ran into this last couple of weeks was somebody that had COVID back in January, and there's that 90-day window. So if you had COVID prior to those 90 days, you were in trouble coming back into getting it again this time. But if you have it within that 90-day block, you weren't held accountable to that. So those are questions that get a little tricky for people like me, and that's when I call the people that do this for a living.
So we should probably find out, because if a person's previously been infected, the science, again, the real science shows that those people have far superior immunity than anyone who's vaccinated.
Whatever direction I get from the health department is what I use.
And any person can have an antibody test, and you can actually get a T-cell test now too. So maybe we find out that and make sure that we don't necessarily need to quarantine kids who've previously been infected.
Right.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. No. Where am I looking?
Could the woman that just asked the question, can you give us your name and address once, just for public record?
Oh,
2102? 21.
21 Oakview.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry. We are going to have to cut this off. It's been over 30 minutes. If it's something that's been already said, then I do appreciate it if you keep your seat. Thank you all very much. I appreciate everything that we heard tonight, and I appreciate the respect that we gave each other this evening. Thank you very much.
You ready?
Moving on.
Okay, let's do some personnel. So we have some resignations under license. Carolyn George, an intervention specialist tutor at C.H. Campbell, effective August 4th of 2021, Exhibit 1A. Jessica Mowry, Title I tutor at Hilltop, effective immediately. Some hiring. Carly Hogan, a tutor at the middle school, effective for the 21-22 school year at $26.34 per hour. Marissa Pence-Rusher, Title I tutor at Hilltop, effective for the 21-22 school year at $24.60 per hour. And Catherine Flynn, intervention tutor at C.H. Campbell, effective for the 21-22 school year at $19.32 per hour. We have some resignations under classified. John Tony, our playground aide at C.H. Campbell, effective July 26, 21. Jennifer Kusick, our library aide here at the high school, effective August 5th to 21. And Amanda Yeager, transportation aide, effective August 11th of 2021. And some hiring. Heather Billingsley, our middle school healthcare aide, effective for the 21-22 school year at $23.07 per hour for 6 hours per day, 187 days in the year. Tina Schmidt, C.H. Campbell head cafeteria worker, effective for the 21-22 school year at $14.52 per hour, 3.75 hours per day. Melanie Tanney, C.H. Campbell playground aide, effective for the 21-22 school year at $14.90 an hour, 2.5 hours a day. Callie Derul, Hilltop playground aide, effective for the 21-22 school year at $14.90 per hour, 2.5 hours a day. Chris Sorley, bus driver training, effective August 19, 2021 at $20 an hour. And Family Colonna, high school cafeteria worker, 2.5 hours per day at $14.24 per hour. And then we have transfers and reassigned and are classified. I'll just say all those folks as presented. Also, we have some classified subs pending their background checks and licensure. Remy Mikan, Nicole Valen, and Gregory Case. Our hiring for extracurriculars, all enclosed in exhibit number 6, those folks as presented. And then finally, the hiring of our paraprofessionals to be reimbursed by our boosters. We have 12 individuals there, all of those as presented.
Okay then. Based on the recommendation of our superintendent, may I have a motion to accept the resignations, hirings, transfers, and paraprofessionals, our hiring of paraprofessionals?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Kluchar?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCaprio?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to recommend the adoption of resolution number 11-2022 to join the Ohio Coalition for Equity and Adequacy of School Funding in Exhibit 7.
Based on the recommendation by our superintendent, may I have a motion to approve and adopt the resolution 11-2022 as presented?
So moved, Wilkerson.
Second. Klucher.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Kluchar?
Yes. Sorry.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCaprio?
Yes.
And I'd like to recommend approving the out-of-state overnight field trip request. We have our girls' golf team traveling to Hickory, PA in order to participate in the golf tournament on August 20. And the high school band and choir traveling to Orlando, Florida to go to Universal Studios April 17th through 22nd, 2022. Provided transportation and lodging are covered by an outside source.
Based on the recommendation of our superintendent, may I have a motion to approve our 2 out-of-state overnight trip requests?
That way, so moves.
Second. Klucher.
Roll call?
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Kluchar?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCaprio?
Yes.
And I'd like to recommend the adoption of policy number 2413 under career advising with a small revision that was in exhibit number 9.
Based on the recommendation of our superintendent, may I have a motion to adopt policy number 2413 as presented?
So moved, Wilkerson.
I can second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Kluchar?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCaprio?
Yes. May we have a rundown of the donations, please? Mrs. Treasurer.
We have Canfield PTA, CH Camel, $7,499.30 for makerspace and staff. Georgette and Dominic Peters, $2,000, Hilltop Cardinals Nest. Samantha Schlarb, $200, Hilltop Cardinals Nest. Mark Davis, $600 to the Kate Fairner Memorial Trust Fund. And Don Adams at the MCCTC pallet of hand sanitizer. Total cash donations for the month, $10,000
like to take this opportunity to thank all of those who donate to the district. Very much appreciated, and we use everything that we get and goes to all the kids. So thank you again. Much appreciated. At this time, may I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment compensation of an employee, please? Oh, motion to approve the donations. I'm sorry.
So moved, Wilkerson.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Cloutier? Yes. Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCaprio?
Yes. Now may I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the employment compensation of an employee?
So moved.
I'll second it, Wilkerson.
At this time, we are going to go into executive session. You are more than welcome to stay. I'm not sure when we're coming out. Okay, good night.
Wait,
Tracy, I need to
we need a roll.
Roll call, please, for
Mr.
executive.
Atwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Cloutier? Yes. Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeCaprio?
Yes.
You okay?
Where
Are you home?
would you like to go?
How about the
Well, we are back from executive session at this time. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank
And
you.
What time do we have?
8:35.
8:35.